I hadn't realized you'd done that program on such a regular basis here. That's
Yeah, a while back I used to do it all the time.
Well, you've had an illustrious background.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. I want to hear about that. And then I really want to catch up on the importance and the significance and the activity around the franchising situation. And I can't talk to a better person than you, and welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And welcome to you in the audience. A pleasure to welcome to the program Zenaida Mendez. And Zenaida Mendez has a very interesting background that we are going to talk about initially and so forth, but she's currently the Director of External Affairs for Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and she's got a great deal of focus around the fact that that Manhattan Neighborhood Network is in a phase called the coming up to the franchising, which is an issue of great importance to all of us here at MNN, of course, and public access people across the country, and in a very real sense, it seems to me, to the general citizenry that might be interested in having a more efficient and democratic system of communication within our society. We're going to talk about all that, and thank you very, very much for coming. It's a great pleasure to welcome Ms. Mendez.
The pleasure is mine. In order to talk to your public, you have a great audience.
Well, we have an expanding audience, don't we? I can remember now we're able to, these programs are going to be aired in New York, probably seen by people in New York, but it's also going to be, as we air it, dependably now streamed to the internet. It can be seen everywhere, and it will be up on YouTube before it's played.
Wonderful.
So it's an archiving thing. There's a lot of possibilities for democratic communication that haven't been characteristic of that long, long trail of winding up Mount Sisyphus that the communication community has been involved in. But we're going to talk about this, but could you please, Zenaida, could you share your own background, where you were born and raised, that sort of thing? We want to talk a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the specific issues of public communication.
Well, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I came to the United States with my family in 1969.
69,
A few years ago. I was only 13 years old, so you can figure out my age.
Yeah, well, I can't do the math that quick, but okay, yes.
And so I went to grade school here. I came here, I was in 8th grade. I went to Flushing High School. I went to John Jay College. I got
right
married.
up in the corner here.
Yes.
John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
Criminal Justice.
What did you study, or what?
Government and public administration.
I think most of your education has been in public administration.
Yes, government and public administration. I had 3 wonderful daughters.
Wonderful. I think 2 are in college, no?
2 of them done with college. They done with graduate school. I have 1 more finishing college. Yes.
Good for you. Three daughters who've gone through college. How are they? Do they know what direction they're taking in terms of career?
Oh, yeah, they are very active. They are very active. One of them used to work for Councilwoman Gail Brewer.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yes, Dora, and my oldest one.
She's been a great help to public access.
Yes, yes. And my middle one is the psychologist, social psychologist. She works with young people at the national level. She's in Washington, D.C. And my youngest one is an actress and a filmmaker.
Actress?
Yes.
My daughter's an actress.
Yes.
Yeah, but she's teaching acting and so forth now. That's really interesting. Now, you went to John Jay College. Did you do some other work at NYU or something, or I'm not?
At the City University of New York.
City University, yeah. And that was also in public administration?
Public administration, yes.
And then you've worked with some pretty illustrious, you've been involved with Congressman Rangel, and you've been involved with Mr. Dinkins, or maybe you could share a little bit of your own public service that you've done here.
Even though I describe myself as an activist, I started in New York organizing tenants in this area, in the health kitchen area. I work for housing conservation coordinators with advocacy organization for tenants' rights. From there, I was very involved with Community Board 4 and community boards, and also in the struggle of city housing for low and moderate income people.
Good for you.
From there, when David Dinkins became the Manhattan Borough President, I joined his staff, Diane Morales, Vito Quintana, Bill Lynch. I joined Barbara Fay, used to be also with David Dinkins. So I worked for David Dinkins during his Manhattan Borough Presidency term, and then I proceed to work with him in the Mayor's Office for Latinos Affairs.
Latina.
Yes, Latinos Affairs.
And you were director of, for now?
I also, I worked 5 years for Congressman Charles Rangel.
Yeah, that's very important. You were an assistant to him.
Yes, I worked for, with Congressman Rangel, which I'm very pleased. I also work for the Environmental Justice Fund. I did a lot of environmental justice work nationally. I was the coordinator for the second National People of Color Environmental Justice Summit in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
From there, I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
So I have always been involved with the National Organization for Women. I also formed my own organization, the National Dominican Women's Caucus.
Right, okay.
So I always have worked with the feminists in the United States. I was in the staff for several years as Director of Diversity Programs.
Of the racial diversity?
Racial diversity programs.
Okay,
yes.
You've really covered an awful lot in that. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, it's interesting.
So I'm very, very proud, and I was able to travel all over the United States. Work with women and men from all backgrounds. I don't want to say feminist issues, for issues of concern to everyone, because we cover from women in Juarez that are being killed to the right of women to choose. As you know, we're still very threatened by this administration. So those are issues dear to my heart that I continue to work on. And the issues on, I also used to be a producer for M&N.
I know, I hadn't realized until you sat down in the chair, but that's really good. Yeah.
I was in the board of M&N in the 1990s.
Yes.
I was an appointee of Ruth Messenger, when Ruth Messenger was the board of president.
Oh yeah, Ruth Messenger,
yes.
yeah,
And
right.
I produced my own program for 3 years.
That's good.
Hablando con Zenaida Mendez, talking with Zenaida Mendez. And so I've been a producer, I've been on the board, so I'm very familiar with M&N.
And you have a deeply seated sense of social justice, questions that ought to be addressed in order to bring more equity to some of the least advantaged people within our society.
Exactly.
Can't think of a more important kind of role to take for your life to do that, because there's a great need for that, not only in our society, in the American or New York or American society, but in the world society, even on a larger scale. That's an important question that's confronting us all.
It's very important. Also, I refuse to be put in a little box.
You don't want to be put in
No, I'm a Black Latina, an Afro-Latina,
yeah, you're black and you're a woman. You got all these strikes against you. You ought to have a sense of empathy.
Oh, not against me.
Not against,
they
no?
In favor.
Okay. Oh, right.
You have to use that to your advantage. I think I'm very blessed to be Afro-Latinas,
You think you're blessed to be an Afro-Latina?
I'm very blessed to that, because I can relate to so many issues and so many people in the world. There are more people of color in the world. When we talk about Africa, the continent of Africa, and where we come from.
Yeah.
Latin America and the Caribbean. So I think it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And being a female, I'm a member of the majority too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're in the classes, like I'm very disadvantaged. No, I'm very disadvantaged because I'm a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant of royal descent of England. So I cannot, if I'm interested in social issues for the deprived, I have no where to go, because I'm of the stock that are the people who put this world together.
Well,
you understand how hard it is?
Yeah, but you are so much engaged on what's going on in the world. And
I'm a traitor to my class, in a sense, and want to see major change. But you understand what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And you said something there. You said more people of color. When we say people of color, what do we mean by? I mean, is that? I don't. We're all. First of all, one thing I know, because I've studied a lot of things. I'm really interested in everything, and I got a very very wide range of things I'm interested in. But we're all, and I believe in the out of Africa thing. We're all Africans. Everybody. 200,000 years ago, first we appeared. And we're all one system, and so in that sense, we're all Africans, right?
Exactly, yes. Oh, I'm glad you understand that.
I think that's
Sometimes
true.
we have to explain. Because of history, some people, or the world had tried to erase the history of the world.
Try to erase it, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why some people are like, oh, in terms of the African and where we all come from. I say we all come from Mother Africa. That's what I say to everyone.
Well, no, it's a known fact from the DNA, mitochondrial DNA. We're all Africans.
Exactly.
I mean, it was 200,000 years ago.
Yes.
That Homo sapien first appeared, and we're all of the same in stock. And do you realize that it was, and then they had a big migration, went to Australia about 50,000 years ago, and another arm of that went up into No, it's true.
It is true.
They can understand from the DNA and linguistic overlay the migration of ancient people, and they were in Kazakhstan, north of the Caspian and so forth, for about 10,000 years. There was a grouping of people there, and then they peopled Europe from there. because they didn't understand that the Cro-Magnon that appeared 30,000 or so a year, it would seem to be late in terms of
You
that.
need to do a program with my daughter, Dora. She's a historian.
Yes.
She majored in history in college, so you need to do a program with her.
But it's really interesting because they went, and then their group went into China, yeah, and then there's these surface differences that appear among the peoples, and so it was all one. And then a few people, there might have been as few as 10 or 12, crossed. Some people think they came in boats, but from the Eurasian, from Eurasia. But they crossed the Bering, and then they came and peopled the New World.
Well, that
and those people that went that way, they went all the way to the eastward from where we all come, Africa. We're all Africans, so that's Mother Africa. But they went 95% of the way around the world to the east, and to the west, they hardly only went about 20 or 30 degrees of longitude. We had the Vikings came in 1000, and there were Phoenicians, maybe 2000 BC. Maybe there's rumors of that. But until Christopher Columbus, they had not moved practically only about 20 degrees. And then they came, and then he found San Salvador.
I'm glad you say he found.
He found San Salvador.
People say he discovered. It was no discovery. I mean, we were there.
I know. That's part of the Eurocentric arrogance, isn't it? They think if we didn't know, isn't it? It's just a joke how much there's ethnocentric proclivities by certain power people and everything to think that their system is the one that's relative to everybody, and there's not enough understanding of the fact that we're all one and so forth, and it comes and goes. But where he discovered, where he saw that candle on San Salvador, 29 nautical miles off San Salvador, you drive that line of longitude, it comes right up to New York. It comes right through, and it's the official Coast and Geodetic Survey designated longitude for the world headquarters of the United Nations. It's
that's
true
right.
fact.
I know,
True fact. We measured it. And so that's the meeting of the East and the West. Then they went on to Hispaniola, and it brought all kinds of terrible effects down in the Caciques or the people, the
Los Taínos,
the Taíno, yeah, it was terrible.
Taíno Indians, exactly.
And that introduced the modern era, the 500-year period of European colonialization of the world, don't you think?
Así mismo. Yes. Yes.
And there's a lot, and the world needs to have some real change because it isn't set up in a way of elemental justice for everybody.
We need to teach the real history in our school. Our children.
Howard Zinn.
Yes. That's right. We need to, our children need to hear this. Especially children of African American descent, Asian descent, Latinos. They need to learn the real history. They need to know, for example, when people say to the Mexican, go back. Yeah. I mean, the West Coast used to be Mexico.
It was. We stole it from them.
Exactly.
Fair and square, we stole it.
Some of these young people or third and fourth generation, they never been in Mexico. Yeah. They were born and raised there.
Yeah, right.
So where are they going to go back to?
Right.
So we need to teach in school. We need to. You remember when we had the big discourse in New York City about the rainbow education curriculum? The rainbow education curriculum?
Jesse Jackson I associate with Rainbow.
Exactly, and also the gay and lesbian curriculum. It was. I don't know what happened to that. They started teaching a little bit, and some of the charter schools are doing a little bit of that. But we need to make a universal part of the education where everyone get equally mentioned in history. Especially, I mean, I'm very concerned about that in the new generation, and for everyone. It's not like teaching African American and Latino study only to African American and Latino. It should be taught to everyone.
Absolutely,
not just to one segment of the population.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you take metaphors and everything. I've used it, but like a human organ, I'll use it. But a human organism, did you realize, I've said this for the people who view, might be bored and everything, but a human organism has something on the order of 100 trillion cells, and they all matter, and they're all overlaid with DNA, and they form a system. And if you take it, we've got so many people in the world that they can't even realize their full biography, let alone their full potential.
Exactly.
And it's not only unjust, Mr. Carter said that the other day on television. He said, do we live in a just world? And he said, of course not.
No.
Half the population of the world is hungry and living, you know, it's we don't. But they all, and it's so inefficient, particularly since we have capabilities now that we haven't had coming out of history for providing for everyone in a new way that we have not had characteristic of history. James Joyce said, history is a nightmare from which I'm attempting
but you
to
see,
awaken.
but that's why it's so important to do this kind of conversation on television, where people can also get it not only for the books, but they can see that we can talk about it, that you have an audience, and you have people who need to know about these things. So we don't get this in commercial television much.
I don't think so. No, the system in place and the rule of law is there very often for most people that are in power. It's there to serve primarily as an anchor, and maybe it has to be the interests of the rich and powerful of the du jour, of the day.
Exactly.
And they always do. And they protect them, and you have different things. And so we have this European colonization of the world, and they've just set up a legitimate and so forth, and it doesn't bring into the variety of all of the people in all of its variety is what something, a rainbow coalition, as you say, yeah.
Yeah, and we need to make sure that more people know about, for example, public access.
Absolutely.
So that they know that they can come to a place like Manhattan Neighborhood Network, get the training necessary to do their own production, so that they can really bring this issue to the broader community. Community who really don't have any other means to produce these kind of programs.
Because like everything else, the communications capability is given over to those who have the money and the power to influence society in general. And then they're going to be favored by that, and there's nothing for the people traditionally to...
And on top of that, they edit everything that you say.
Absolutely, they got it down to a science.
Here you say what you need to say, and we don't edit anything.
Right.
You see, First Amendment really covered. And in other places, you know, you have to watch what you say. You have to know who owns the station.
Yeah, Mr. Murdoch.
If the owner doesn't like what you're going to say, you know, they're not going to broadcast.
That's right. You're not going to last long.
Not going to last long.
Yeah.
So this is a very important means of communication, and it's important the Manhattan Neighborhood Network. But we also have our sister media center in the other boroughs. You know, each borough have a media center.
And there's a system, some 3,000, I guess, around the United States, which form the Alliance for Community Media. I guess Tony Riddle's down there representing us there very well and that kind of thing. And it's an important thing. And it's open to, theoretically and in real terms, it's open, let's say in the case of here, it's open to anyone in Manhattan who wants to come here and become a producer, learn how to work the equipment, put the program on. And it is here in the case of Manhattan, totally free of any cost to the citizen.
Exactly.
That's an amazingly wonderful development in terms of the broader society, don't you think?
Exactly. For the community-based organization to come here and hear what they're doing.
Right, or even an individual.
Oh, yes, all individual, definitely, definitely. You know,
like you did.
Yes. And it's important, and by the way, as you are aware, we are right now going through a new renegotiation with the cable company.
A 10-year template.
10-year template, a new franchise. So we are now gearing up. You know, we just finished a community needs assessment. So to make sure that we have the information of what is that the community needs in terms of community media and communication for the next 10, 15, 20 years ahead of us.
Yeah, really, that far, yeah.
It's important. It's important.
Because the use of the media in a certain sense should be in a very large measure predicated upon the desires and the interests of the community, rather than, let's say, a group of people in a boardroom over a professional thing that's reaching out with the traditional way of expanding communication, right?
You know, people have wonderful idea.
Absolutely.
Of what they want to see on television. You know, what information they need when they come to school, to education, cultural and arts. I mean,
in all its diversity.
In all the diversity, exactly.
Yeah.
So we, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, also we just purchased a new building in East Harlem, in El Barrio.
That's wonderful.
In 104th Street, the old firehouse is there. That's going to be a state-of-the-art studio.
No, good.
It's going to be a mini M&N.
That's wonderful.
On East Harlem. It's going to be wonderful. As you are aware, we also have a youth channel.
Yeah, that's true.
So we produce 22 hours of young people produce their own programs. By then, they do everything. They produce it, they direct it, they write. We just did a screening last week in El Barrio of all the work that young people had done in the last 3 months.
Wonderful, yeah. Where did you do it?
We did it at the Head Start program in East 16th Street and Pleasant Avenue.
Okay.
They have a wonderful auditorium there. It was packed.
Good.
With young people and adults and teachers and parents. And the thing that they've done, the public service announcement, interview program, from going to juvenile delinquency hall and juvenile detention to the kids in the street, to a special program. And this is all coming from them. And it's wonderful to see the work that they've done.
And you had that just last week. I missed it. I'm sorry, I've been busy with all kinds of things, but that's really good. And it's good they got that. This is Lexington 104, is that it?
It's yes, between 3rd and Lex.
That's good. It's convenient to some public transport and all that sort of thing. And you're getting into East Harlem, so that's really a good place where that kind of thing is needed.
Yes, and we also do a screening. We did a screening at the studio on 59th Street about human rights in Dominican Republic.
All right, very good.
About what's going on there with the Haitian community and the Dominican community. We had a panel discussion after the documentary was shown. So it's so much that we can do with this medium. It's just wonderful for people to know that we can do this.
It really is important, and then there's all these developments going on because there's more capability all the time. We now can stream the programs. That would have been a dream 10 years ago, that your program can be seen everywhere in the world, and it's blending with the computer, the cyber developments now.
Yes.
But public access was there. It's sort of like the concept, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Hyde Park Corner in England. They got that place where you can go and a tribute to free speech. You put up a soapbox and you can say anything you want, and it's a tribute to that. It's like that in a way, to where every citizen should be able to have that sort of a thing. That hasn't been possible within television historically, but with cable and so forth, it became possible for more and more to be included in a wider variety of programming.
Definitely, and we have 4 channels. We have...
Yeah, talk to the citizens about that.
Yes, we have 4 channels that can be used for that. Like I was saying, now the franchise is very important. Right now, we are going through a public comments period.
Public comments period,
yes, where citizens can send letter to the mayor, to the controller, to the borough president, just to let them know how pleased they are with the services of the public access station.
And it's good to get feedback from the community about what public access means and that sort of thing. And you're going through that process now.
We're going through that process now, so we're asking, we have set up in 59th Street and outside, where we're going to have postcard where people can just sign the postcard to the mayor, to the controller, to the borough president, and we can deliver them ourselves. We're also going to have public hearing coming soon in the fall. We're also going to be announcing those hearings so people can come and testify.
Will that be at the city council or where?
Most likely will be, they usually do it in different sites throughout Manhattan.
Okay.
But most likely one of them will be at the city council. So we will also be letting people know about that. It's
Public
important.
Service Commission, would they be hearing?
That's in Albany, but the most likely, no, most likely it will be local. Yeah.
It's important to have a local purview over this kind of activity, is it not?
Extremely important.
Right.
Because instead of calling or going to Albany, we can just go downtown to City Hall. We can call the Department of Technology and Information if we need anything directly. we can call 311. We don't have to call D.C., Washington, D.C., or Albany. So local control is very important. And talking to your elected official, to your city council person, letting them know how important this is.
And let those people be involved in the equation by which these things are determined about how much we're going to allow that process to help serve the people of this community. And they should have a voice in that. It's kind of unique, the idea that people are going to have a real say in things.
Well, they have to,
because everything's decided by big shots and board of directors
in order
rooms.
for cable company to be able to go in your living room, they have to lay cable under the street that you walk.
Absolutely.
Therefore, they have to pay for that. It's basically paying rent to the city.
Well, yeah.
For using the public right-of-way.
For the public right-of-way.
Exactly.
That's right.
Therefore, we have the right. It's not like they're giving us something. They are using the street to lay the cable.
Right.
Therefore, this for them to sort of give a percentage of their billions of dollars that they make a year.
Yeah, I know. It's a staggering amount they do.
Yeah, they made, last year they made $61 billion.
Who did?
Time Warner.
Time Warner nationally?
No, not nationally.
No, say it again, I'm sorry. What did you?
Well, yes, just in New York, remember, in New York alone, there are...
New York City, you say?
New York City alone, they have, yes, in one, we're talking about cable, we're not talking about the telephone.
Internet or telephone.
Internet, therefore there are other medium, but just a little percentage that they put aside for public access is, I mean, compared to what they make, is really, So that's why it's important that when the negotiation again take place next year, that we hear the elected officials and the mayor of the city of New York, he has relinquished himself from presiding the committee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he has cable company. So therefore, the deputy mayor, Dorotoroff, is the person now that oversees the franchise negotiation process.
He's an assistant to the mayor, is that it?
The deputy mayor.
Deputy mayor, okay.
The deputy mayor, yes.
And then they have an office of Do It, or...
Yeah, the Department of Information and Technology.
And they're going to be negotiating with the cable companies for some public service payback, one aspect of which is public access that we're talking
exactly, which is public education and government channels, PEG, and we fall under those public access. So it's important that the public know what is at stake here and the importance of how we get the funding and why they can come to M&A and not pay 1 penny for being trained.
Because it's an alternative way for the whole process to be vouchsafed and made available or able to happen.
Yes.
Could you share with me a little bit the pattern nationally? We want to get back and concentrate on New York, of course, because that's where we are. But nationally, we've got about 3,000 public access facilities similar to this.
Yes.
And could you share how much diversity is there? Are there some of them just mom and pop, that sort of thing? But what's the picture so far as the national pattern? And as I understand, it's beginning to happen in other parts of the world also. So it's reaching out.
We had a visitor from South Africa.
Really?
Because they're doing a public access center in Johannesburg and in some of the townships in South Africa. Definitely nationally, like you mentioned, Manhattan Neighborhood is the largest.
It's the largest in the country?
Yes.
That's where we are now.
Yes, we are the largest. We have 4 channels. We serve over 500,000 people, so it's pretty large.
Yeah. And those 4 channels are filled almost 24 hours a day.
Oh, yes, they are. Capacity and waiting list.
And I heard something that there's more television programming in terms of hours put out by the public access systems around the country than all the rest of the television industry combined.
Wow, yes.
Oh.
I believe it.
Yeah, in terms of the hours.
The hours.
A lot of people think that that's only because you haven't got all the stars and things, that if you were really good, you'd be on NBC, or that the stations that have a traditional large network outreach to a wide audience in the country and so forth.
Well, we have...
That should be dismissed, I think, in the name of diversity and
but we have great programs in M&M.
I couldn't agree with you more.
We have the diversity, we have the capacity, we have wonderful people who have talents that would never be on commercial television because they don't have the backing of the the corporates commercial that will give them the millions of dollars they do. Some people don't realize to produce a program in regular television. One little program costs you.
Well, I can remember, Zenaida, because I've been doing this since the Pleistocene. I've been doing programs, back off in geologic time, it seems, and everything. And it used to be you didn't have any possibility you could do that, and there was no way you could make a program where you didn't have to make it be a business, as you do here. You can come and produce it because that's what you're interested in, and all of that cost. But there was no way you could do it. You'd have to go somewhere to pay hundreds of dollars in order to make a program, and that cuts out so many people that are the normal run of the normal population, because they simply can't set aside that kind of money or turn it into a business. And also the mindset of a lot of the citizens isn't one that's one of money or business. It's one of ideas and cultural differences and everything. And public access makes that possible. And that's a very rich canvas you can paint upon.
And you know what it takes to produce a program. It is not one person. You need you need a team of people working with you. You need hours to devote to put the program together. And when the pressure or a commercial is just how much money you bring in for that half an hour or the hour. The meantime here, people feel they can bring their talent, they can bring their idea.
That's right.
It's fun. It's very fun to do it.
It's like, I had a friend of mine one time who I've used it in the past. I got a lot of musician friends and that, and artists and poets and that, but the music. I had a friend of mine, he had a little loft on 7th Avenue down near 26th Street when it was a little bit different than it is now. There's some health food store there now. But he had a little loft, and he had all the musical instruments. You know, the jazz musicians would play, drums and sax and all that. And he had it there in the loft, right? And the guys, Archie Shepp and a lot of the guys, they would go to Sweet Basil's or someplace and play a gig to make some money for the tourists in from Scarsdale or whatever. And you have to keep that in mind. But then they would fall by his place around 2 or 3 in the morning and then really wail. You know what I mean? They would really kick out the jams, as they say. And they would do it because they're doing it in a way. And most human experiences where you're dealing with love or whatever it is, you're not in a thing where it's maximally beneficial if you're trying to negotiate everything like some sort of a business thing that you have to do if you're in a business set. It's a creative context.
You have to compromise your talents
and
your
compromise
art
or synergistically resonate with the guys. And if you're playing and you're playing a saxophone and somebody's playing, you want that person to play the best kind of piano he possibly can because you're just jamming. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're not negotiating. If I give you enough coconuts, will you play your piano good? You know, you're doing it because you get, and the talent can come out.
Definitely,
that kind of
definitely.
Thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Very inspirational.
I think so.
You are inspired to do it.
I think it's a context that artists perhaps and a good deal of the human experience will be able to be more and more that kind of, we need more venues for the expression of the human spirit that isn't done within a context of business or a bottom line consideration.
It's very important. It's
I
very
think
important.
so.
Yes, because
I think it's really important.
And we have so many talented people
in our society.
In our society.
And they haven't been able to have the means by which that can be brought out because they're all busy doing the bidding of the people who have all the power.
Yes, exactly. But this is a great venue. I mean, eminent.
You're not going to get any argument from me there. I think it's and the institution of public access is very important to be sought not only by us in public access, and may there be many more come, and but for the people of social concern in the general society should be. I'm from academia, and I think of public access now that we've got outreach around the world. I mean, because you got YouTube and you got that it's like a university of the, it's like an autodidactic university that you can go to for independently owned people who are really interested in it and not doing some rote task like so much of what is being done by the society, the systems by which the society is organized normally.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Wow, of course. This is important. And it's great that we now can really tell people, this is a place where you can really use your talents and show your talents, and you don't have to feel that pressure.
We're going to need venues like that, I think, in the future, because there's going to be, well, I don't want to go off on my thinking about the future, but there's going to be a great deal. We're going to need venues for the expression of the human spirit, which is not a venue of business.
Exactly.
Community, theater, all kinds of opportunities for poetry, all kinds of things like that, where it doesn't have to all be a business. And so much of the world is organized that way now.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
But we do have to be practical.
We have to be practical, and that's why if we get the help of all the public in terms of making sure that we keep Manhattan Neighborhood Network running, this is a place where they can do that, express their ideas. And
maybe it's worth paying attention to. There's been, the public access has been over the last 2 or 3 years, it's been under some threat.
Yes.
By people who do not like the idea or think it's necessary for there to be any opportunity like that afforded to the people.
To the people,
A lot of people think they have there's a thing in the society, whether it's race or whatever, gender, their idea that some people are Ubermenschen. They're higher order, and the people themselves don't matter. A lot of people have that kind of a prejudice, and the institutions support that in lots of ways.
The system is designed to do that, unfortunately.
You think it is?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And we have, we've gone to Washington, D.C. because the Federal Communication Commission has several legislation, against public access, basically. So we have been able to, as a matter of fact, we are right now in litigation. We are part of a organization, association that's, had taken the FCC to court.
Okay.
Because of that situation.
Is that the Alliance?
The Alliance, yes. And some other group, Free Speech, and some other groups, which is important because they receive millions and millions of letters when they had the legislation. So they find out. In 24 hours, there was millions. Email, telephone call, and buses and buses, they deliver letters saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Leave public access alone. This is the people talking.
Isn't that great?
And they moved back. I said, wait. So
I remember 4 or 5 years ago when Michael Powell at FCC was trying to get it through to make it easy for mergers and acquisitions of the big guys, and they had snowflakes in January response from the people. It seemed to be from the people without a great deal of organizing or anything. People it was a response from the people, and this is supposed to be a democracy where what the people think can have a matter. It's called empowerment. I think your life has been given over to empowering people who have felt that they were not empowered, and that was the truth, and that's not right, and it should be changed.
Exactly.
Not only because it's not just, but also because it's very inefficient even,
Exactly. I mean, there was a situation in a town where there was an emergency. I mean, there was gas leaking.
Yeah.
And what happened? The only radio station in the town was from California, from another faraway place.
Clear Channel.
Clear Channel. Oh, I didn't want to say it, but listen, you mentioned it. So therefore, when the people knock on the door and say, we have to air this information to people to stay in their home.
To save lives.
To save lives, they were not able to do it.
Because they had a pre-programmed...
They were pre-programmed. They have a public access center there to go live, or a radio station to go live and inform the people. So the people die because of that. So this is what we're talking about, being able to walk in a studio, either TV or radio, and be able to announce any emergency. 9/11 happened in New York City.
Yeah, it has a local outreach again,
because of the institutional network. The INET was the only thing that was standing. That's how the fire people were able to communicate, and the police. So this is extremely important.
It is extremely important, particularly as the communication is becoming more and more available, and there are opportunities there that it's been difficult. Younger people might be more understanding of older people who, they lived in a context where the context is one that has great liberating potentialities for the human spirit that were not characteristic so much of the past.
Exactly.
And so we want to be able to look ahead to that rather than be only looking in the history's rearview mirror.
Exactly. When we did a focus group, I was so pleased. We did just a focus group with seniors. It was wonderful.
Okay.
The stuff the seniors are doing on cable and computer and public access, it's like, oh, wow. So this is opportunity for everyone, from a school, grade school, all the way to 90, 80 years old.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's wonderful because people just feel, you know, I had a lady who said, you know, I'm retired now. I always wanted to do a television program, inform people about
Come
health.
on over.
She's doing it.
That's right.
She's
Good.
doing it.
Here?
Yes.
Good. Great.
So she said, you know, now I have the time and now more than ever to inform the people about what's going on with Medicaid, Medicare,
Absolutely.
with the healthcare system. So this is an opportunity.
And it's also educational for the general society and so. And the idea that there are some changes needed. A lot of people don't like the idea of change because they're very well sent in terms of the way things are, and they think of change as something that's threatening to them, but you want something that can be inclusive of everybody.
Well, the thing is, I say, it's not really changing. We are bringing it back to the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it was supposed to be many years ago, but we started on the wrong way, in the wrong foot.
We're stop on the wrong foot. Let's get in step.
So now we're getting in step
with history.
With history.
With the march of history.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
And we're making some changes like that. Michael Moore's got a new movie out now, and it's Sicko, and it seems to be that they're attacking not only an instance of where there's been such thing, but the very system itself. It's a disgrace in a sense that we're the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have some sort of a comprehensive health care system to take care of the citizens. They let people die because they can't they can save you know, that kind of thing.
When you believe that Cuba has a better health care system than the United States.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that it, right? This is what he's talking
Cuba
about.
Just across from Hispaniola, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. And
one of the largest Antilles.
And when we had Katrina, we couldn't get our people down there to help people. Mr. Castro was ready to come with people who really knew what we were doing to help the people, but we wouldn't let them do it.
Exactly.
Because there's these prejudices by people. And so
the arrogance, arrogance
of power,
that we cannot learn from other people. Just because they're tiny little island. I mean, they have a system in place like we do to save people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, their system is people first. And that's what they're looking at. I mean, when you have every single year, you know, a storm, a hurricane come to the island, and you don't lose anybody because they already know.
Right, they've got a great track record, as they say, and they know what to do.
Exactly. So why can't we learn from that?
Well, there's an arrogance of power. I think it began with Christopher Columbus and Hispaniola, you know, because they started Eurocentral view, I think they have it, where everything that matters comes out of Europe, and everything else is a world to be molded in the European mode, and they referred to the people that they would go colonize as wogs and all kinds of races.
Yes.
I read every year the biography of Cecil Rhodes along with 1984 just to keep in.
1984, yes.
But the race and the Amerindian peoples, what happened to them was absolutely disgraceful, that kind of thing. So you have an arrogance of power and even the social Darwinism of realpolitik and so on. You have a few people who have the control over everything. They make the situation one that's certain. We used to have chattel slavery.
Yes, and right. Well, that's this new immigration bill. That's what it is.
You think? Yeah.
That's what it is. Bringing, you know, slavery. This country was built on slavery, and they want new immigrants to continue to be slaves. That's what it's all about.
I think that way myself, but I tend to. I mean, I think Frederick Douglass was just wonderful. He had a thing. I still think, in a very real sense, in terms of where it's going to be for our kids or our grandkids or something like that, I just feel like we live in a system that is slave. It's a slave system we were in. The assets are all owned by a tiny group of people, and they had a few people, and everything's set up to serve the stars and that sort of thing.
The so-called stars. But we also have to make sure that our young people feel free to question, and they question
authority.
They have to question authority. They have to question everything. It's not, this is the way it is, and it should be this way, and they believe it's that way.
Also, because
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Also, because there's so many opportunities now, but then the young people should also be realizing that the older people, the context was one in which maybe the context has changed globally. Because we've got weapons in Ada now that if they were to be unleashed, and look at what's going on in the Middle East, it's very worrying. Mr. Lieberman just said we ought to bomb Iran.
Why?
I mean, that's very worrying. They're talking about bunker-busting atomic weapons that they have.
Now, why do we
tactical nuclear weapons are doing that. And if those weapons ever got unleashed in a full spasm of hatred and so forth, it is apparently the case that it would wipe out every single one of our Homo sapien brothers and sisters.
Why do we need those weapons?
In order to exert power by an Ubermenschen idea that some people have right to control other people, and you don't want to have an involvement of everybody else.
And keeping people in panic and fear.
Oh, keep fear, be feared all the time.
And people don't understand. You don't have to be fearful or anything. You are fearful, why? Because they want to be greedy and take everything, all the resources that other people have.
You know, it occurred to me the other day in the shower that they will trot out, a lot of the people, they will trot out, things occur when you're having a shower. But they've trotted out this idea of human nature, they'll say. And why don't we have a world where everybody gets along? But, the people, so much of it, they had a beautiful thing on HBO with, what's her name, Vanessa Redgraves the other day, Fever.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched it. So they had the thing, and they just assume, let's say the people, and they've stolen, and they've grabbed, and they've taken, and they've built up their assets, and they've done all that in a very greedy way of mindset, and they just assume they call that human nature, because they're that way, and they assume everybody's that way. In generosity of spirit, they don't have any, so they can't understand how that can have anything to do with human nature. So
Exactly.
you're encouraging the worst aspects of it, in a sense. I think that's real truth. The power should be said. And they would say that's human nature. Everybody's like that because they are. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. When they don't understand.
They can't understand generosity of spirit.
Yeah. When you do something.
I may be overdoing it. But
No, you are absolutely correct.
You think?
I mean, when you
I'm
see
not sure
people,
myself. Okay, go on.
People says, "Oh, how much you want for this?" "Oh, no, it's okay."
Everything's got a price.
Yeah, I say, "No, it's fine." What? You're not charging? No, we're not charging.
Yeah. They think it's some sort of
exactly.
It's probably unpatriotic or something, because everything has a price, and they should be the society should be setting big changes in the wind,
even
not only in this country but in the world.
Let me tell you,
and franchising agreement for this kind of thing is something that's a crucial issue to be addressed by all citizens of concern these months ahead.
It is crucial.
Yeah.
It is crucial, because I'm sure you do, and many people do a lot of volunteer work, and people don't believe it.
I've done all volunteer.
Exactly. Oh, you're going to that meeting in the community, you're going to this. Oh, how much you getting paid? I said, no, this is volunteer. Volunteer? Yeah. We have to instill that in our young people.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because
they have to serve. Well, it's hard, but
because we still live in a world of wage slavery, and people say, I can't be involved in doing something where I don't get money for what I do because I have to pay the rent. And if I don't pay the rent, I'm on the street, and they keep them in fear. It's like wage slavery.
Yeah, but we have a lot of high school, in order for you to graduate, you have to do some kind of service in the community. And that's a good start for people to understand.
Perhaps.
They have to give back. It's not only take and take. You have to give back to the community where you grew up. We encourage our young people when they go away to college to come back to the community and work in the community, because sometimes they go away to college and they stay where they go to college, they don't come back.
Yeah, right.
So it's good for them to come back so they can be a role model for the other kids who might not be considering going to college. So when they come back, they say, wow, he went to college, he's back in the community, he's working, he's giving back. That's wonderful, and it's beautiful. And these people also making a living. These people, they have a work also.
Well, okay, I think we got some, I don't want to go into that because that's a whole other program, but I think we're going to have massive economic displacement of labor in the productive process as these things happen. We're going to have an alternative. We do not have a basically just system. All the capital assets are owned by a small, most people are what I'm not a Marxist, but what most people would call are wage slaves. They have to go and do what they do if they want to be able to live, and that's their first, and they're trained to be outer directed and to be in that sort of slave-like condition, even though they can have rationalizations and things like that about why they do it, and it's a sense of responsibility, and it's part of a thing, historical pattern. Big changes are coming now.
Yes.
Too many things we could talk about. I could talk to you for 25 hours easy, okay? And we'll do that over coffee or something in the future. But let's get back to the franchising thing, because that's something that's really crucial now. We're coming into that period. Is this happening in New York? We're particularly concerned with, but is it happening? Does it have an effect as far as the whole country or access in general? And where do we stand?
We now in New York are going through that process. New Jersey went through the process last year, California, and some of the states are, as we speak, going through the same process. But to us in particular in New York City, it's extremely important that people look at our webpage, mnn.org. They can call me. They can come by the studio, by the 59th Street, and see what we have.
Encourage that. We're going to have a banner up soon.
Yes, we're going to have a banner for them to sign petition, to sign letter, to send to the authority.
Yeah.
It's important to let you know that the city council, the city of New York, unanimously approved a resolution that authorized the mayor to ask the cable company to support public access.
Oh, that's wonderful. The City Council of New York is 1,000%?
Yes.
999% behind public access?
Public access.
Is that characteristic of the country so much? Are we in the lead as far as New York is often in the lead?
We are pretty good shape.
We're pretty good shape. That's good that we are. But what about our sister communities across the country and so forth? Is the institution of public access well set in terms of that? Are there enemies of it? Are there people that are targeting it? And we have to keep our eye on that. That's important.
And the cable company want to get away. They want to get away with a lot of stuff too.
Well, they like any other company. They'd like to get. It's like Mr. Michael Moore said. The only way they can make money is just deny services, and they make more money for their profit.
And everything. They want to be able to cherry pick, to be able to choose what community they're going to serve.
And I guess that's what you would expect them to do.
Yeah, but we cannot allow that.
You don't expect a crocodile to be upset about eating an antelope. I mean, that's part of the nature of some people. They're that way. So, but in general, there's a support from the people here in New York, our city council, thank them all for that. And then other citizens, and then across the country there was this response to that, so that there's support among the general citizens. And that's encouraging for a democratic order. And then all the new revolutions are coming out of these computer labs now, with the commuting capability.
But in cable, we have Time Warner, we have RCN, and right now we have Verizon, who also applying for a statewide franchise.
Really? Okay. What's the implications of Verizon's entry?
Well, to us, it's no implication as long as they comply with the city.
Maybe they wouldn't like to do that. Maybe they would like to say to the others, well, why do that? Let's just see if we can slough that obligation. It's a federal law that they're answering to, and a body of law that's emerged around the idea that there'd be support for these PEG stations.
Oh,
and so
definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And also, our local, the city of New York and the state, they all support PEG, which is important.
They do. And do they do that across the country? California, Oregon, Alaska, they do. Okay, so that should be recognized as part of a political reality. And our political candidates and our general citizenry should start picking up that that's a political reality upon which they could be helping get out in front of the parade, as they say, getting out in the front of the parade of the people. The people's mind are there, that something should begun to be happening to aid the masses of the people rather than just the professionals.
Yeah, that's why I want to encourage more people to come and use this medium. It's important. And because we also have the advantage. In Manhattan, we have public transportation.
Yeah.
We're like in the middle of the city, which is accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
In some of the state, it's not easy to get where they have placed these centers. At least we have that advantage in Manhattan. Or in the Bronx, if you go to Bronx or any of our sister media station, they place in accessible places where people can actually go and do their program or bring their tape. So it is so much important for us to be able to serve the people. And for people to know, especially in community or color marginalized community, you want to have a program, you can come here and get the training and produce your own program.
And your intellectuals should come here, and your professors.
We have professors,
and the people. You know what I'm saying. It's educational in the fullest sense of the word, and it's also a great sense of social gathering of a lot of different people. It's a really dynamic place here. And is it okay? I'm just saying for the future, not only of here but also across the country and the world, in a sense. It's part of a model that other people could pick up on that we're doing here.
Oh, yes. A lot of people come to see us and see what we're doing here. It's definitely a model for communication worldwide.
Yeah. Now, in terms of schedule, the franchising is along, how far before that gets down to the actual happening? There's a lot of education and involvement of people that we're going to invite.
Yeah, we're going to have the public hearings.
Yeah. A number of those.
A number of those in the fall of 2007.
Okay, that's
During the summer, we're going to be asking people to sign those postcards to the mayor and to the city controller, to the borough president and other people. That's important that they hear from the people. We have so many producers. I mean, thousands of producers.
Here. Yeah.
Here, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
in
then
Manhattan.
that gets even bigger, the community across the country.
Exactly.
I keep trying to keep the view of the country.
That's important. So
Yeah.
it's important that they hear from us. We had a very good, when we were out doing meetings throughout Manhattan, it was great. We were out just having meeting in different neighborhoods in Manhattan.
Right.
We held 13 meetings.
30? Yeah.
Yeah, 13.
Oh, 13, I'm
all
sorry.
the way from Chinatown to Inwood.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
that covers the whole thing, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were able to talk to people, to get their ideas, what is it that they really want, and keeping in mind, where are we going the next 25 years?
Yeah.
In terms of
you
technology.
Think that far out? It's hard
we
to
have
look.
to.
25 years, that's so
thing
far.
is going so fast.
It is. It's coming exponential, Zenaida.
It's going
the
so
thing,
fast.
And it's combining with the with what's coming out of the labs now. There's something new. It's YouTube just came out of the blue, and so that's there. That we want to link to that new digital future.
Our young people don't even go to school for this. They get it right away.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I can't.
You go to sleep. By the time you wake up, it's something new.
It's
true. A new technology.
And we didn't have to program anything.
Exactly.
When
so
I didn't. You're young enough to have probably had things always you had to program, VCR.
Yes.
I didn't have anything. You just turned the radio on, it worked, and now it's all you do is figure out how to make another gadget. Well, thank God for the youth.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Youth, the good book says the youth will lead us.
But that's why you say I'm thinking 25 years, because it's so much. It's good to be a step ahead and to keep up for technology.
Yeah.
The cable company has to provide good signal, good sounds, good television.
Right.
They have to provide that for us.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's important for us to know what's coming up. So we have to know what they're giving to us is, a state of the arts in terms of technology.
Right.
So that's important
and
for
then
us.
we have to be thinking also about what those state-of-the-art technologies might offer us in terms of what we'd want to structure what we're doing. There's a lot of what they call autonomic systems where you could have automatically the program is up on a kind of YouTube, and there's going to be servers, and there's going to be possibilities, and the youth will keep us in touch with those possibilities. But what it does is herald a revolution that's come, a revolution is a strong word, but a very qualitative transformation in communication capability.
Yes.
And public access was on the leading edge. Before there was any computers around anywhere, it was on the leading edge of setting up a system for communicating by the people. And that's a very important kind of frontier thing.
For example, we have Pacifica Radio, which
yes,
is
that was going.
non-commercial radio.
Right.
We were able to place a camera in Amy Goodman program at the firehouse.
Now she's become a superstar.
And telecasted in MNN. We were the first one who put the camera inside her studio.
Good, that was
register.
good. Yeah, right. Because she'd been radio,
Exactly, because it's also non-commercial, educational, keep people up to...
She's great. She's really good. That's the best news show going, I think, as far as the news show.
So MNN was the first one. When Rito was here, he's the one who said, we're just going to put a camera in your radio studio.
When who was here?
Tony Rito.
Oh, Riddle, yeah.
Yes.
Tony's great,
So
and we got Dan Coughlin at the helm. He's a great guy.
Well, Dan, in the last year that Dan has been in MNN, I mean, transformations, so much is happening.
Well, it's good to have somebody with
wonderful.
that experience. So there's a lot. This is just an introduction to the fact we're coming to franchise, and this is the young lady, pretty face, who's doing in the face of the franchise agreement. She's external director of external affairs for Manhattan Neighborhood Network. She's got a tremendous background in terms of public service. Thanks a lot for coming in. We want to do everything we can to try and help you in the campaign to educate the people to preserve and expand public access.
Thank you, Harold.
My pleasure. Your pleasure to have her perceptions. I hope we've run the credits. And thanks a lot for coming in, Zenaida. We'll be in touch, and we're going to have to just keep letting people know about this because it's a crucial time we're coming up to. Thanks for all the good work.
Thank you.
So you see, I told you we would run out of time, and we could talk for 25 hours. They're just running the credits now.
It's wonderful to be able to talk about so many things because it's so much. You see,
well, what did we leave out? We probably left out so much, didn't we?
Yeah, but it's good for
this
people.
Is the first of many programs.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And also, you see, so much that we can talk. That's what I'm saying. I refuse to be pigeonholed in a little thing because
you don't like to be pigeonholed.
No, because it's so much.